in memory of Dick Robinson and sponsored by the Institute of Museum and Library Services.
Good afternoon. I'm Monica Valentine, Program Specialist of the Library of Congress, and I am here with Mindy Thomas. Good afternoon, Mindy. Welcome to the 2021
Hi,
Library of
Monica.
Congress National Book Festival.
Thanks for having me, Monica. So good to see you.
Yes, we are excited to talk to you today about your book with Guy Raz, Wow in the World, The How and Wow of the Human Body, following your video on demand session. For our audience, welcome. You can check out Mindy's video on demand at loc.gov/bookfest. This time is for you and your questions. We have up to 30 minutes. I have a few questions that'll start us off, but we want to get to as many of your questions as we can. So if you're ready, Mindy, we can get started.
Let's do it.
All right. So The How and Wow of the Human Body is a New York Times bestseller. Clearly, kids are curious about science, but you have said that as a kid, you were not so curious about science. So why should kids read this book, and what will they find out about their bodies in it?
Okay, well, I would say, first of all, I was a very curious kid, but I don't think that I considered my curiosity to have much to do with science. The way I feel like I learned science in school was very textbook and academic, and it wasn't taught to me in a very fun way. So through Wow in the World and through this book and our future books, I really want to make science fun and interesting for the kids who think that they don't like science. Because every time I hear a kid say, "Oh, science, not for me," a little part of me cries inside, because it is so fascinating to know how much scientists and kids think alike. I think that if I had learned that as a kid, I would have had a completely different perspective with science. Did you know, Monica, that a scientist in 1997 named Ken Heaton, he had a bunch of participants hoop for science? Can you guess what he was trying to do?
I cannot. I cannot guess.
He wanted to poop and then keep a diary of their poops and take pictures. And with that, he developed the Bristol stool scale, or a poop chart, essentially, showing you how healthy or unhealthy your poops are. And you can find this in our book, you can find it everywhere. But that was a scientist. He was curious. Who's pooping healthy? What's going on with these poops? And he had people poop for science. There are scientists who have collected sweat from people for science. Does this make you want to become a scientist, Monica?
It does not, but it is very interesting, I must say.
Yeah.
So we're already starting to get some questions. Let's see. Let's take this first question from Matthew, who says, "Do you have a treasured book from your childhood that you still have to this day?"
I do. I wish I don't have it with me right here, but this has nothing to do with science, but still have my fourth grade copy of Where the Sidewalk Ends, and by Shel Silverstein, a book of very silly poetry. And I took it very seriously, and I still have all of the paper clips from all of the poems that I was memorizing when I was in fourth grade. And I was very excited when I got to perform some of those poems for my class. So I like what's really special about the book is it still has my little dog-eared paper clips in it from fourth grade, my favorite poems.
Oh, wow. And just think that some kid will be treasuring your book the same way, right?
Oh, I hope
now we
so.
have a question.
Oh, go ahead.
Yes, that
I think
would
we have a
be
little
great. So now we've got a question from Teresa. She says, "Thank you for all you've done to make science enjoyable for kids. Were any children involved in the creation of your book to make sure that all your jokes landed?"
Well, Guy and I both have two kids each in our real lives, and yeah, I know that on my end, I definitely would show pieces, show things to my kids, and they would tell me if things were too gross, or yeah, they definitely had some thoughts, and they do on the podcast too. They're always saying like, oh, you should do this on your podcast, or you should use this joke, but then they want credit for it, and it's a whole thing. But yes, but yeah, it was just our groups. But honestly, Monica, I don't feel, I don't know about you, but I don't really feel like a grown up. I'm still the same kid I was when I was 9 years old on the inside. So I think I wrote a book, and Guy, I don't know, Guy too, but Guy was probably a different kind of kid than I was. But I think we wrote a book that we would have wanted when we were the age of our readers.
Yeah, and I don't feel like a grown-up some days either.
But
So Matthew has another question. He wonders what kind of things you enjoyed creating during your younger years.
well, I loved making, well, I can tell you one science experiment that went wrong in my younger years. I made a hot dog rotisserie oven out of a shoebox and some tin foil and a coat hanger, a wire coat hanger. And I sat outside on the driveway all day long, turning this hot dog, trying to get it to cook, and it never worked. Never.
Oh my
Still
goodness.
not over it. Still got a little beef with that hot dog. I don't know what it was. I don't know whether it was the hot dog or the foil was the wrong side of the foil, but I just couldn't get it. It got warm, but I think it would have gotten warm either way. I wanted a good burnt hot dog. Took me a long time to
Good
make
burnt
that.
hot dog.
Yeah.
Great. Okay. So here's a question from Robert. Our family listens to you in the mornings on Kids Place Live. You have such enthusiasm and positivity. How do you find the strength to remain positive and uplifting each morning on that radio program and approach your writing with positivity when such craziness happens around us every day? And he also adds, you're great.
Aw, thanks, Robert. You're great too. I would say, first of all, start my show at 7 a.m. East Coast time. So nothing bad has happened at 7 a.m. by 7 a.m. East Coast time. But I will say there are mornings where I'm tired or I'm feeling the weight of the world. And this might sound a little cliche, but it really is. As soon as I get that first phone call from a kid, that I realize, I think I get the energy and the positivity from our listeners who call in and participate. It's such a fun way. I've been doing that show for 20 years, and it's such a fun way to start my day. I'm just having fun conversations with kids, and I'm learning weird things from you all, and it's something that we get to do together. So I think that even when I'm not feeling particularly positive for those hours, I feel it. I feel it. And then the rest of the day can fall apart. But those 3 hours or 5 hours, whatever, are really great.
Kids can be a really great source of energy. I know that for
They
myself.
are. My own kids, strangers' kids, they all are.
So in the video you recorded earlier, you mentioned wanting to give voice to the voiceless inside our bodies. And could you explain how your book does that?
Yeah, I think I wanted to, when we were explaining what is happening inside of our bodies, I know the way I learn is kind of imagining what these body parts would say. So we did everything from, I have a page opened right here about scars, scrapes, scabs, and bruises, and thinking, well, if a scab put out a personal ad of some kind, what would it say? And scab saying, well, I come from a very tight-knit family of bloody platelets. Whenever scrape or cut appears, we rush to the scene and band together to act like glue, forming a protective bandage, keeping your insides in where they belong. And, Scab's favorite quote would be, pick me. I think I had fun imagining what these body parts would say, what red blood cells would say if they were in your body. The idea that we all have a skeleton, a living skeleton inside of our bodies, that we're always dressed for Halloween on the inside. What would that say? So I just wanted to imagine our body, everything in our body is this living thing with its own personality.
Yeah, so you give everything a personality and characteristics. That's cool.
And I
Maria
think that's
wants
the
to know.
stuff. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
Oh no, I think that's the stuff that makes it sticky. Where is it you can learn all of these things, but if you feel like you know them, like you would a friend or someone you meet, that's the stuff that helps you remember these things. And so I think that's why I gave them voices, and we gave them voices and personalities that we
That's a
imagined
great
they would have.
strategy. Yes, that's a great strategy. Maria wants to know, besides poop, what is the craziest thing you've ever discussed on your podcast?
Oh gosh. Okay, the craziest thing besides poop on the podcast, um, gosh, I am stumped right now. We've done a couple hundred of these podcasts. Let me think about that. I'm going to get back to you, Maria.
Okay. In the meanwhile, I've got another question. I've heard that you love gross things, but there was one thing too gross to make it into your book. What was that?
Yes, but real quick, I just thought of an answer for Maria.
Okay.
So, uh, one of the things, my favorite things that I've learned in all of these years of doing Wow in the World and writing these books is some of the crazy things that scientists will do. We have a saying on our show, anything for science. And we did this episode, I guess, end of last year, about these scientists who were painting eyes on cow butts and seeing if ambush predators like lions would see the eyes on their butts and be deterred, thinking that they were seen, and found out that it actually worked. So I think, just picturing some very serious, educated scientists painting realistic looking eyeballs on cow butts and why was really fascinating to me. But gosh, every episode is full of things that are super fascinating.
That's a great answer. I would have never
And then your
imagined that.
question,
Eyes on cow butts. So Matthew has another question. He wants to know if you have any favorite authors and books at this moment and why.
favorite authors and books at this moment. I will say a favorite book in our house that I like things that make us laugh, and my kids do too. There is a book series called Dory Phantasmagory. This has been a favorite for a few years now in our house, and we can't even turn the pages without laughing. So it's Dory Phantasmagory by Abby Hanlon. And yeah, it's about this first grader in school, and lives with her family. She's kind of misunderstood by her siblings, and she has an imaginary friend, and just the way that Abby Hanlon is able to describe these first graders in a way that is so hilarious but also so realistic, just makes us laugh. And I feel like those books have my kids still like them, and they liked them also 3 or 4 years ago. So the humor in them stands the test of time. So that one off the top of my head, I would say Dory Phantasmagory, the series by Abby Hanlon.
Wow. Okay, one more from Matthew, which I think is interesting, and your podcast fans will probably want to know the answer to this one. Have you ever dreamed that you live in a gingerbread mansion when you were young, considering that you have a gingerbread mansion in the podcast?
Have I ever, where I wanted to live? Not in a gingerbread mansion necessarily, but I wanted to live in a miniature golf course when I was a kid. I remember I was living in Ohio when I was really little, and we would drive down the road, and then you could see this miniature golf course that was in a Kmart parking lot for some reason. And I really thought that was like a neighborhood for little people, and I didn't understand why. I was little. I didn't understand why I couldn't live there, and I don't think anyone told me that's a miniature golf course. But I really thought someday I'm going to live there, and then I realized it was a miniature golf course. So not necessarily a gingerbread mansion, but definitely
something interesting still.
Yeah.
So Elena says, Elena says that you and Guy Raz make such a fun pair. She wants to know how you connected and what's next for you two.
Oh, thanks. So Guy and I actually met through this social media site that grown-ups use called Twitter. And he was listening to my morning show on Kids Place Live with his kids in the morning. And tweeted at me. And then I tweeted back to him. And then we became friends. And he started doing a new segment on my morning show. And then we quickly realized that most of the news that was exciting us that we wanted to share with kids came from the world of science because it was full of progress and it was full of hope and just really interesting things. So we did that for, gosh, I think about 2 years. And then we decided to break off and do it in a bigger way, in a way that all kids all over the world could hear. And that was how Wow in the World started. And Wow in the World started as sort of, that segment was called the Breakfast Blast Newscast. And it started as sort of an extended version of that. And then these characters and this world started to build around us. And Dennis came in, and Grandma G-Force, I think Reggie was the first one. Grandma G-Force, Thomas Fingerling, Dennis, these other characters started coming in, and they never left. And next thing I knew, I'm living in a gingerbread mansion, and Guy's living in this micro house, and Dennis is our neighbor, and we've got this little world built around us that was never part of the original plan. And that's one of my favorite parts about this show is I never know what's going to happen. I don't know if another character is going to show up and not want to leave. Even though we write this show, it feels strangely out of our control. And so I think every time I go and write a script, even if sometimes I have a whole outline and then it veers off and goes a whole other way. I remember when Dennis first showed up, I was stressed out because we didn't have anyone to voice Dennis. And I was like, oh, what am I going to do with this character? The clock is ticking. I can't deal with this. And now I look back and laugh because that's so like Dennis to just show up and when I don't have time for him and then not leave. But we love Dennis now. Anyway, long answer.
So that makes me curious. Are any of these characters that you just mentioned based on someone in your real life?
I don't know. I mean, probably a mix of lots of characters. No one specific from our real life. I think Grandma G-Force is probably the grandma that I imagine myself to maybe be. No, I don't know. Not necessarily, but I think we meet all of these people in our lives, and they stick with us for better or worse. And so I think all of these characters, I think they kind of introduced themselves to us. None of them were like sitting down thinking, okay, we need a character like this. They showed us who they were and they stuck around.
That's cool. Are there any particular scientists that you look up to?
Oh, yeah. I mean, gosh, I remember one of my greatest moments in my whole career was when I got to interview Sally Ride, who was the first woman in space. And I remember asking her, like, is it something that you think about every day? And she just got this starry look in her eyes. And she said, every day, every night I look up at the moon. And, she knows that she was in space. And that was just a wonderful moment. I'm so glad that I got to meet her. And now I'm being introduced to new scientists every week as we're writing this show and researching and learning about these new studies that are coming out.
Yeah.
Also
Sally
the
Ride
kinds of scientists that are out there. Yeah.
Sally Ride must be a great source of inspiration. So in your video, you and Guy also share some advice for aspiring young writers. Some of your advice includes keeping their imaginations open. Could you share more about that?
Yeah, I think that inspiration is everywhere. And I know that I draw a lot I think most of what I draw from when I was writing this book, The How and Wow of the Human Body, so much of it came from me digging down deep to when I was a kid and what I would have liked and what I would have thought was funny, or probably even what I would have written. And so I think that whole, don't always think like when I grow up I'm going to do this thing. You can do it now. You might not be published yet, but who knows, the ideas that you have now, write them down, draw them out, whatever you think you're going to do. Who knows when that's going to pop up in your life as you get older. This might become this you right now might be the source of inspiration later in your life. So I think keep your imaginations open. If you're writing fiction or even nonfiction in a humorous way, see what you can. I like to take ideas and turn them upside down and inside out and see what's left once you do that. But yeah, just don't discount yourself because you're a kid. I think that you probably have a lot. You are who you are even now.
Very good advice. Very good advice. So, getting back to this cast of characters in Wow in the World, is there a particular character that you yourself would like to hang out with?
Oh yeah. I think I would really like to. Well, Reggie, first of all, Reggie is he's sort of like the only one on our show that consistently does the right thing and behaves the way he should. So Reggie, he's a giant pigeon that we fly around on. That would be amazing. But I think Grandma G Force, just getting to hang out with her for a day and watch her eat hot peppers or do her wrestling matches or something. I think that would be. I have a thing for like spicy grandma types that don't let age hold them back. Just like when you're a kid, don't let your age hold you back. Do what you're gonna do. But I think I feel the same way for people who are in the later stages of life and still just living it up. And I feel like Grandma G Force is doing that.
Great. So, along with being the authors of this great book, you and Guy Raz, as we have talked about, are the hosts of the number one kids podcast. How do you and Guy stay in touch with what kids love and what they're curious about?
Yeah, I think that what kids are curious about and what they like is probably the same things that we are curious about and we like. I mean, we're finding all of these peer-reviewed science studies that that make us more curious and that we want to bring to kids. I don't think that we sit down and think, well, what would kids like? We think about, well, what's interesting. And I think that we look at our podcast as being a podcast not just for kids but for families, and for those 20 minutes we want grown-ups and kids to be on the same level where everyone's learning something new. So something that's interesting to something that's truly interesting and bizarre and absurd or just fascinating for an adult when it comes to science can also be for a kid. So and we both have kids, but I don't even think that's it. I think that we look for things that are interesting, period.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I must say I have heard from a number of families that do listen to it together, just as you intended. So you're right. It can appeal to both
Well, that's
kids and their parents, which is good. Um, I guess the last question I'd like to ask you is what's next for you? Are there any more Wow in the World books on the way? And can you give us a little preview about what they're about?
Yeah. So our next book, which is now available for pre-order, but it doesn't come out until March 1st, is called Wow in the Wild. Can you guess what it's about, Monica?
I'm guessing it's about wild animals.
It's about wild animals. This book was so fun. It has more pages than the How and Wow of the Human Body. It's thicker. That we just kept finding more and more things to add to this book. It is funny. I think it's very funny. We had such a good time writing this one. So Wow in the Wild comes out March 1st. You can pre-order it now and you can check out the cover, which can give you just a little idea of what's inside. And so we've got that coming up. We've also got we've got another show that is launching this week as part of our Tinkercast team. Tinkercast is of course, our company that makes Wow in the World. It's called Who, When, Wow, and it's hosted by Rebecca Shear, who some of our viewers might know from the Circle Round podcast. And it explores the lives of some of the more unknown and underrepresented heroes and heroines throughout history who changed the world as we know it. So that comes out this week. So you can go to tinkercast.com for more on all of this.
Oh, that is great. That's super exciting. And Mindy, there's one more question in the chat, if you don't mind, that I'd like to ask you, because I know you have a copy of the book there. So if you want to hold it up, someone asked, what do you love about the illustrations in the book? And I'm sure they help this great book come to life. So what is it that you love about the illustrations in the book?
Yes. So Jack Teagle is the illustrator of this book. I just loved that he was able to take some of these ideas from our brain and illustrate them in a way that I felt like he just like reached into my brain and Guy's brain and then just put it out on paper. So the illustrations are so funny. And just like we tried to make the body come alive through words, he really helped to make the body come alive through pictures. So even from drawing on top of actual disgusting pictures like an abrasion here, a little scrape. He put some eyes on it. But yeah, the pictures are super funny. And then also I love that there's all kinds of people in this book. There are people young, old. I think everybody would be able to find themselves represented in this book. So Jack Teagle, hats off to him. I mean, one of the challenges he had to do was draw skin. I don't know if you can see this. Wait, look at that. Skin. How would you draw skin? Just this floppy thing or like this. So every time we got his illustrations, both for this book and Wow in the Wild, it was like getting a present. It was so fun to see what he did and how he accompanied the words through illustration. So big shout out to Jack Teagle.
Yes, congratulations to Jack and congratulations to you and Guy on all the success with the book. Thank you for joining us today. We have been listening to Mindy Thomas talk about her new book, Wow in the World, the How and Wow of the Human Body. Thank you again, Mindy, for being part of the 2021 Library of Congress National Book Festival. It's been a pleasure. And thanks once again to our audience. Please continue to enjoy the National Book Festival. Bye, Mindy.
Thank you so much. Have a great day.